So what happened there? And first of all, why is everyone talking about Hamilton Verstappen?
So the issue with Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton is seven-time world champion. This year he's going for his eighth world title. Okay. And Max Verstappen, he is an amazing driver, like hands down, has so much potential. Everyone's talking about he's the next world champion. And he's the one that's been bringing it to Lewis Hamilton. I mean, neck and neck. Beginning of this year, Max stepped in and he took over that championship. And then, Lewis Hamilton, as you can see, he was he held the line and
He did the Matumbo.
Max went
No,
off
no,
there.
no.
So,
It, it it's
so
pretty
there were a
crazy
lot of
because
people
you
that
saw
were
how close
upset
they
with
were.
that race.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you
So
saw how
then you
close
got
they
into
were,
like the
and it
whole
was pretty
schematics
crazy.
of, who was entering first and, Max Verstappen was driving more aggressive and blah, 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 blah. And it was a lot of controversy that happened with that. There were a lot of angry Max Verstappen fans for sure. And I mean, there was a lot of damage that was done to Max Verstappen's car, and Christian Horner was not really happy about it at all, at all.
I can imagine.
But
I mean, it
So
happened
Lewis
in a
all us
split
Hamilton
car
went on
second.
to
guys,
win that
It's
GP
crazy.
that race. Yeah.
so all us car
And
guys saw that
with
video,
him
and we're
winning that
going
race,
and we want to
he's the
buy
one who
cards.
actually took the championship back. What were you saying? Sorry.
No, no. What I was saying is, I watched that video and I went on eBay, and I'm going to find cards. So let's look at
Oh man, yes.
the card.
Let's talk about it.
And I think it's funny.
So,
It's funny because I think everyone's breaking Formula One, and all they know is Hamilton and Verstappen.
Yeah.
So I think it's time, you
yes.
know, we tell them a little bit more than Hamilton and Verstappen. So let's go into it. So what does
Absolutely.
everyone know about the
Absolutely.
cards that are out there? So what is the first
Enlighten me.
Hamilton rookie card? Yeah, enlighten Steph so you can go on eBay and
Oh
buy
my
them out.
goodness. Well, okay.
I'll use
So, I'm
Demo's
going to
credit
give you
card.
my opinion on it, and then the Rounders Cars crew can either back me up
Yeah.
or give me their opinion on it. So the first cars that came out, licensed cars that came out, were Tops 2020. Okay, they were the Tops Now 2020 cards, and they came out the latter part of 2020, and
I think I
they
have a
did the
picture of
most
it. Hold
memorable
on. Let me.
moments of Formula One. Oh, okay, yes. So that's the Lewis Hamilton #3 Tops Now card. So
So how
people
much
are
was this when it
saying
came out?
$9.99.
I can't even imagine what that's worth right now.
But there has
What's this
This is
been
going
actually the
for?
first Topps
controversy
card. Like
about
1500 probably
which
PSA
card
10.
is
You right?
what were you saying?
It's about
PSA
1500, right?
10,
Right
what's it
now?
going for now? No,
Yeah, about
I think it's
1500.
about like,
1000.
is it 15? Oh, wait a minute, has it gone up?
It was
I
up
thought it was
there.
like 1,000, 1,100. Really?
Yeah, it varies. Yeah, it goes up and down.
That's a
I mean, a lot
beauty.
of
A
people are
decent
buying
gain
Hamilton
from
right
the.
now. Yeah, it's a little gain, you
I
know.
I'm gonna say either way, that's a good ROI on a $9.99 card. Okay, I will say
Yeah.
that for
So,
sure. And
so,
the card's not even a
so why
year
are
old
people
yet.
buying Hamilton? So what's like the hype around him?
Well, he's seven-time world champion for one, and two, with Max Verstappen emerging, and people are saying that Lewis Hamilton, oh, he only has so many years in Formula One, and somebody else is going to be the world champion, and there's just so many more. I mean, you have Lando Norris, you have George
Yeah.
Russell, you have Max Verstappen, and a few other
So,
drivers. So you don't know, but you know
so
Lewis Hamilton, he's starting to get a little bit older. We don't know how long he's going to be in Formula One, and then plus he's tied right now with Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher has 7 world titles. So if Lewis
Wow.
Hamilton tends to break the record this year and move forward, he'll have 8. Who has 8 championships? Like
no
in
one.
sports, rounders.
I
Who?
would go with
I don't
Mr.
know.
Like what
Olympia,
athlete?
Bill Russell. Bill Russell. Doesn't Bill
Okay,
Russell have like 11 championships?
11. Cool.
I
Who
think it's
else?
funny.
Something like.
That's it.
What do you
No,
think's
I think
funny?
it's funny because I think it's funny because she showed me that card, and I bet everyone that's ripping Formula One doesn't actually know that that was the first card. So they're all ripping like cards like this. Uh, so go to the next one, Andy. So the ripping Topps Dynasty. So this is pretty crazy.
Oh, the Topps.
That's
the Topps Dynasty.
That's wild. That's literally a gamble.
Yeah, I was not lucky enough to even see one of those cards in person yet. Those are the Topps Dynasty. Those came out right after. Well, those came out around the same time as the Topps 2020 because the Topps Now 2020, they were published after every race. So the way that the Topps Now 2020 cards work is you have a race on Sunday. The cards are usually up the following week on the Topps website about like 3 or 4 days later. And they have a countdown clock of 7 days. So people can purchase as many cards as they want in the 7 days. But after that countdown clock goes to 0, that's as many cards that are published. So the Lewis Hamilton 3 that you're talking about, there's only like 1,900 cards of those in the entire world.
Wow.
And you actually know what they printed because they tell you, versus like some of the stuff. I mean, this is an interesting one because this one is like a one that people are ripping a lot, which is the Topps Chrome. And I think it's just a beautiful card, and this is a Sapphire edition.
Yep.
It's just like you see the reflections on the card. It's just incredible. And this is the set that everyone thinks is like the Hamilton rookie card, licensed rookie card, but in reality, it's the Topps Now that you showed me. And that was interesting because you enlightened me around that. Because if you listen to all the breakers, you know, they're talking about Sapphire, they're talking about Dynasty, they're talking about Chrome, but in reality, it was the Topps Now. That was the first licensed product at Hamilton. And then you also know that there's, you know, all these alternate rookie cards, which probably we could spend a whole hour talking about, but we won't. So what's the deal with Verstappen? And like, so if I look at his card, which is a popular one that everyone's ripping, like, what's the big deal around this card? Like he's just a young, handsome. He's handsome. But like, what's the deal around him? Like, he's very,
he's good looking. A monster on that.
He is the most type.
He is going to be. It's either like it's like your team Lewis or team Max, or like your Tifosi, which Tifosi is the Ferrari fans. So if like. As you can see, like, even if you look at Formula One races, you will definitely see the Max Verstappen fans. They come out in full force. They are not playing. They wear their orange. They're ready to go. They're like, look, Max is our guy. And the cards came out. Everyone was clamoring to get to them.
So I think it's funny because you showed me a set that I've never seen, which is in the next photo. And it reminds me of the soccer ones, the match attacks. And I didn't even know they made these.
Oh yeah,
these are pretty cool. They're actually much better in Formula One than they are in soccer. To be honest, they're pretty cool because the stats and everything makes sense.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Power and all that.
And unfortunately, they weren't released in the United States. You had to purchase those in Europe, or you had to get on the Topps website and put in like a different country and have them shipped to the United States. So the Turbo Attacks cards, which they came out in 2020. They just launched a 2021 set. And those are designed to actually play a game, like a card game. So those are like really cool. And I collected both sets. It was really hard because I just couldn't go to like the website and get specific ones. But I was in different like Facebook groups. Then I was like, hey, look, I still need these cards. And a lot of people were very gracious from all over the world. And they sent me cards to help me complete my set. So I think
pretty cool.
the Topps Turbo Attacks is definitely one of my favorites.
It's a game, so that means we can put money behind it.
Yes.
So what are you going to put up as a wager? What are you going to put up?
What am I going to put up? I'm not putting up my other Lewis Hamilton card, that's for sure.
These aren't Pokemon cards, Dimitri.
Yeah, wait. You're going to put up your Pokemon card? If you put up your Pokemon card,
do you know what Tanya hit?
Hamilton card.
So I think it's funny.
No,
like,
she hit.
Literally, you don't know what she hit? She bought one box of Topps Chrome, and she hit no one. Nothing. As usual. Like when people break with you.
I highly doubt that.
That was, oh gosh, that was a act of God. That's all I can say.
You wanted you wanted a refund? What she hit?
You know what she hit?
1 out of 10?
Oh,
Do you know,
What do you
Steph?
got? No.
One of
Lewis?
the 58 autographed Lewis Hamiltons.
Holy smokes. That's
And I only
amazing.
how
bought
about
You
one
get
one
a
box?
box
great.
of the Topps Chrome.
Get out of
And
here.
I had a bad day that day. And I was like, so I had a friend who told me, Hodel, don't open it. Just put it away. And I had a bad day. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go open up my Topps Chrome box. And when I did, I opened it up. You know, you open it up from the back, kind of shimmy it out a little bit. And then it said, congratulations, you have an autograph card. And I'm like, okay. So then I lift up and I see that it's Hamilton. And
Dang.
I put the card down. I just put it back in the pack and I just put it down. Like, I was like, this isn't happening. I said, this isn't happening. So then I put it back and then I opened up all of the other cards, which all of them are amazing cards. The Topps Chrome set is like, it's beautiful. And it had like F2 teams in it and it also had the Formula One teams. And then I went to my son and I was like, here, Jeremiah. I was like, and he was like, Mom. I was like, what does that say? He was like, Lewis Hamilton. I was like, okay, all right. And then I opened it and then he videotaped me doing it. And as in the video, it's like you kind of see like my hands are all awkward and stuff. And then when I saw it,
Shaking.
it was kind of like the best comparison I can make, because I'm a girl, is
Dimitri
when you
breaking
get
anything?
engaged. But when you get engaged, right, and then you get the engagement ring, and you're like, I can't believe he proposed, right? And then like you go to sleep and you wake up the next day, and you're like looking at the ring again, like, I can't
It's
believe he
real.
proposed. That's how I feel about my Lewis Hamilton card. Like, I can't believe it's mine.
She said it was better. Actually, it's worth a lot more than any engagement ring. So I don't know if you saw the red refractor
Right?
that went
That's
for
sick.
50K. Yeah,
Wow.
was it like 2 days ago? Went for 50K, and they're only gonna go up because
That was a red. Yeah, that was like a
I saw
limited
that.
edition, like red one. Did you see that on Golden Auction?
Yeah.
Woo!
Is it BGS, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
We'll see.
BGS.
Yeah.
I think Beckett graded it.
Sky's the limit.
Yep.
yeah. So that's worth
No, that's going
probably
in the
3
casket
rings,
with me,
4
baby.
rings. I told her to
Well,
get
that's
it
going in the
graded.
casket. I already told my family.
Nice.
You know how your
Get it
Pokemon
graded.
cards are going in the casket with you. Lewis Hamilton's
Yep.
cards going in the casket with me. It's not happening.
I'm digging those things up from him, so don't worry about it.
That means you probably kill me, so it makes sense. So I
I
think
don't
what
need
I
to
think
kill. I'll
about
just
is
go take them if I want them.
I'll literally kill you, but it's okay. So this happens a lot, and I think people need to be educated around. I think Hamilton is a great investment because he's going to be the GOAT of F1, and who knows who's going to ever, if not in the future, take over that throne. And it's not a bad idea to invest in GOATs, but I think when people get into Formula One, there's a lot of speculation because they don't know anything about it. Like I had to ask you what Formula One is. So if I'm getting into Formula One, this happens a lot in cars. When people jump in, they go with the trends, which Hamilton's a great trend, but then they're like, all right, what's next? Or who has
Right.
paved the way? So who are the legends, like, in terms of Formula One? Is there, like, cards that I should be investing in, like, any guys? Or, I mean, let's be real, it's probably guys because that's the culture around it, but maybe in the future it'll be more
Not
women.
yet.
But
Wait a minute. We have the W Series. Shout out to all of the women pushing
all
those
right.
cars around that F1 track. We have the W
Get it,
Series. Shout out
girl.
to Naomi
Wait,
Chip. That's my girl.
I actually never covered this, but are they able to get into Formula One, or it's like a whole different? You don't have to
It's
go
a whole
crazy into it, but
different. Well,
yeah,
no, it's a whole different racing series. But what I'm hoping for, and a lot of other women that are watching Formula One, is that they can get into those Formula One seats and they can drive their tails off just like all the other gentlemen that are on that grid now. So I feel like it's only going to be a matter of time before that happens. But I'm telling you, there's going to
it's
be
only a
some
matter of time.
competition, fellas. You better get ready. You better get ready.
So speaking of legends, so if Hamilton wins, he's going to be the GOAT. He's going to be 8. If he wins, like the championship and the drivers and the constructors and the mega constructors and what. So
Yeah.
I'm just joking. There's only the drivers and the constructors. I know now. But
Right. No, I
so
got you.
what's the deal with Schumacher? So when I look at this card right here, does it have any value? Like, should I be buying it, or like, what's the deal around the legends?
So when you talk about Formula One, it's so historic. You talk about drivers like Jackie Stewart, Alan Prost, Ayrton Senna, um, and you also talk about the greats, Niki Lauda, and also Michael Schumacher, of course. And
So
Niki
who is
Lauda was
like go
responsible.
and
Niki
go
Lauda,
back for a
he was the
second.
one.
Yeah, like
So Niki
what
Lauda
happened to
was
him?
ultimately the one who. So if you ever see, have you watched the movie Rush? The movie Rush was based
I
on
was just gonna
the life of
say,
Niki
is it?
Lauda, right? And he actually, man, he was in an accident. He almost died, and he recovered, and he went right back to racing. And he is definitely one of the greatest in Formula One history ever. If it wasn't for Niki Lauda, Lewis Hamilton never would have made the jump to Mercedes. He was the one who helped facilitate that whole entire move. So Niki Lauda, we lost him a few years ago. He'll always be in our hearts in the F1 family for sure. And his signature is that red hat.
And what about the
Now you
next
talk
guy?
about
So
other greats. You talk about
yeah,
Ayrton Senna. And man, when you saw that yellow helmet, you had to get out of the way. He, man, he was a beast around the track. You cannot talk about F1 without mentioning Ayrton Senna from Brazil.
where's he from?
Everybody
Uh,
loved him. His countrymen, he's from Brazil. Yeah, his countrymen loved him. We all loved him in Formula One. He ultimately died on an accident on the track, and we have a statue, a monument erected in his honor too. And he definitely, if you're going to collect cards, especially vintage cards, because I know now the modern day cards, everybody likes the Lewis Hamiltons, the Max Verstappens, the Lando Norrises. But if you want to start collecting the vintage cards, they would definitely be a Niki Lauda, which I've only seen stickers. Have you seen cards? I've only seen stickers of Niki Lauda.
I saw
But
I saw
that is
one
a
on
card of
eBay, and that's
Ayrton
about it.
Senna.
And I'll be
That's what
surprised
I
if
was
Steph
just
doesn't
looking
buy it
for.
by the end of this episode.
Done. I already have it in my cart.
500. The guy offered me 400 for it, but I'm 20. Schumacher. So what is the significance of Schumacher in Formula One?
Is that a
And
mullet?
what?
Wow.
No, he's just German. He's cute.
So Michael Schumacher is 7-time world champion, and his son Mick Schumacher has entered Formula One as a rookie. So he drives for Haas.
Wow.
And that's Mick Schumacher there. And that's actually when he was driving in Formula 2. That was in the Topps Chrome box. It wasn't in my box, but it was in someone lucky person's box. So when you talk about Michael Schumacher, he drove for Ferrari. He was amazing in his time, and he's 7-time world champion. Of course, I can't stop saying that because he is. So when you think about Formula One, you think about the prancing horse, and then you think about Mike Schumacher too. So that's the significance of Mike Schumacher. So
So is his son
his
any good,
son, well, it's his son's
or is he
first season,
bum?
and he's in a Haas car, so the situation could be better. That's all I'm going to say. But if you don't have your calendars marked, please mark them because Michael Schumacher is coming out. They're coming out with a documentary on Netflix on
Wow.
September 15th that is going to commemorate Michael Schumacher. So
Ooh,
that
I'm
is
busy that
definitely a
day.
must see.
So should I feel bad for his son because he doesn't have like the right circumstances and the right like environment to succeed? Like, what's the deal around? Like, is he actually gonna be good or?
So we don't know. We don't know if he's going to be good or not. I mean, I think he's pretty good given the circumstances that he has. I mean, the Haas car is not like a midfield car or even like an upper echelon car. It just isn't.
I
And the team, it's there's a lot of factors that goes into that. And it's really hard to gauge his drivability because he's in a car like that. So I would say he needs to keep working, keep pushing. Hopefully he'll be able to get into another team, a better car, maybe a midfield car, like a Aston Martin or AlphaTauri or even a McLaren or something like that, and maybe he could do it from there. But Ferrari, I think that they're eyeing Mick Schumacher. I think that they're trying, like, for purposes. Eventually, I think they want to see
I
Mick Schumacher in the red Ferrari, just like his
so I think we were talking about this. I thought it was funny. Is like usually when your dad is great, you're not that good, but when you're like deep, like okay,
legacy.
yeah.
What about Dale
Like I'm
Earnhardt?
not gonna mention the goat of all. I mean, yeah. I mean that's probably the one exception. But like usually when there's goats, the children are not never can live up to those expectations because they're just so high. Um,
Yeah, like I don't
but
see
then when you
Michael
have
Jordan's
like
kids
a
playing
dad that's like
basketball.
mediocre, like Steph Curry, like his dad was okay, and he's amazing.
Right.
Like Michael Jordan, no comment, but it's impossible to like live up to those expectations. Like it's just impossible.
It
You have the
is.
environment to succeed, you have all the tools, but that doesn't mean you're gonna ever come close to it because the bar is set so high. So, but I guess with Formula One, it's different because like there's a lot of factors that go into it. There's a team that goes into it. There's a car you drive, but you mentioned Haas.
Sponsorship. Sponsorship. The team in itself, the resources that the team does have. And that factors into when people say, oh, that's a midfield team or that's like a top tier team. A lot of the cars, especially if you are talking about Mercedes AMG Petronas or even Red Bull, they have developed so much with their cars. And also the drivers have stuck with the team for such a long time that they figure out what works and what doesn't, and they are quickly about resolving issues. So that's what keeps them at the top. And also the type of money that comes in. When you look
Mhm.
at who's sponsoring Mercedes AMG, like look at all of the sponsorship that are on that car. They're sponsored by a lot of people that have a lot of money. Compared
Yeah,
to you look at a team like Haas, they don't have as many sponsorships, or even Williams. They don't have as many sponsorships either. And then also the construction of the car. It takes a lot of money to construct a car. Now they have put in price caps this year. They will be putting in more price caps for next year. But even with those price caps in place, the innovation and technology that has already been developed by these top tier teams, I'm pretty sure they're still in place. And that's what's helping them become very successful with the resources that they have.
awesome. And then what about Yuki Tsunoda? So like this guy from Japan, is he any good?
Yuki,
Like,
I
should I buy
love
his one
Yuki
of one super
Sonota.
refractor? Like,
I
should I actually
love
pay the
Yuki
guy on
Sonota.
eBay?
He's one of the more animated drivers on the track. He's awesome.
That's like a Dimitri smile. I don't know if he's
Yes.
constipated. That's what it looks like. It's pretty
Yes.
bad.
No, he is
Wow.
This
cool.
could
He
be my
is
last
so
purchase,
cool.
Steph. It could
I'm
be
just
my
saying that
last hurrah.
yeah, the next things you're
So
I got
purchasing
an
are
offer
Pampers, but yeah.
for a one of
so
one
I would
super refractor.
say, yeah,
Take it.
I would say get it. I would. I mean, I got one of Yuki Tsunoda's rookie cards and Mick Schumacher, and I don't have any regrets. So YOLO.
All right. Yeah, sure. You only live once.
Yuki.
But he is
Yuki. I like it.
Yuki. But he drives for AlphaTauri
You want
along with Pierre Gasly, and Pierre
if you
Gasly
want to
is
split
one
it
of
with me,
my
I'm down.
favorites. Oh, split it with you?
Steph, you
I
want to
already
split it with
have
me?
his card. Steph's gonna split it with you.
I
Add
don't
it to
want.
your
If I
tab.
buy anything that Demo buys, I buy the opposite going forward. I'm just letting you know.
So you're gonna buy
All right.
Pierre
So I think
Gasly.
We'll get it. We'll pick it up. Offer the guy 340.
Okay.
I got it for 3,500 right now. We'll see.
What, the
It's a
Yuki
one of
Tsunoda
one super
auto,
refractor.
really?
3,500 for Yuki?
No.
Oh, I was
No,
gonna
it's a
say
graded,
that's
just a
crazy.
regular
Oh, it's a
super
great.
refractor
Okay.
one of one.
Okay. Nice.
All right. So now I have to buy it because if we air it, he's gonna kill me. So speaking of, all right. So now I think we got into cars, and I think it's interesting because like literally no one knows anything about Formula One, and it's really interesting because you really shed some light on this. And honestly, I'm really thankful to have met you because I wouldn't know anything about Formula One or the cards that are associated with it, especially outside of Hamilton, which is what literally everyone's like pulling Hamilton, 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 Hamilton for good reason.
Well, that's the only
But there's a
name that they
lot that
could
goes.
pronounce. Because it's the only name they could pronounce. Look, I watch the box breaks. They pull a Kimi Räikkönen. They're like, yeah, I don't know this person. And then like they'll pull like somebody else. They'll pull an Antonio Giovinazzi, and they're like, Antonio, yeah, okay, we pulled him too.
Antonio.
And even a Yuki Tsunoda, like, come on, that's the only person that they really know. And a Max Verstappen, I'm sorry, between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, that's it. But the other drivers, they're like, yeah, no, I don't know this person. But they are all easy in their own rights. I could literally talk about any of them. Kimi Räikkönen, the Iceman, he's one of my faves. You have to watch his interviews. He is like no other in Formula One for sure.
So I saw this photo of all the teams and the drivers, the two drivers around it, and I think it's super interesting. The one thing I noticed though is there's no American, right?
No. So they don't have an American driver, but they do have an American team, and that is Haas, of course. So
Okay.
one thing that you will
And
notice,
the funny thing is
yeah, one
Haas
thing
doesn't
that you
sound like American either. Yeah. I'm saying it doesn't sound like an American name.
They're in NASCAR.
Ah, that's awesome.
No, they're in NASCAR as well. Yeah, but
Educate this kid,
I think
please.
I don't know how successful they are in NASCAR. They are in NASCAR and they are in Formula One. But if you look at the drivers lineup, what you see are a lot of younger men for sure. So starting in like 2019, 2020, that started to mark the years where they had the most youngest drivers in Formula One history. When you look
Wow.
at, if you can just go back for a moment to the driver lineup, when you look at the teams, especially Ferrari is known to have more older seasoned drivers. But this year they have Charles Leclerc and they have Carlos Sainz. They're both in their 20s, along with Pierre Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda. Then you have Esteban Ocon, that's in Alpine, Lance Stroll, Lando Norris, emerging F1 driver, gutsy driver, and then George Russell and Nicholas Latifi. They're in their 20s. So they're going to be racing for a long time. And I think that when you think about card collecting, and if you want to start card collecting with Formula One, you need to start paying attention to these drivers because they're going to be there for a long time. Versus like if you
what's
look
like
at
the good
Sebastian
teams?
Vettel, Kimi Räikkönen, or Lewis Hamilton.
So if I'm
What were you
thinking about
saying?
teams, which is the best teams in Formula One? Like which have the best chances of actually being successful? Red
Mercedes or
Bull,
Lewis Hamilton, I'm
Mercedes.
assuming?
Go Steph. Hey, that's the safe answer. That's the safe answer right there, okay? So
Yeah.
a lot of people say, I'll put it to you like this. Formula One is very similar to card collecting, right? So in card collecting, when we collect cards, I like to collect who I love. I would love to, of course, have like a higher end card, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to when I'm looking at cards in the hobby, I want to collect who I love. I would love Serena Williams. I love Lewis Hamilton. Those are the cards that I'm going to be going for. And it's the same thing in Formula One. A lot of people choose these teams because the history behind the team. There are people who are, and I told you earlier, they're called Tifosi. And those are the die-hard Ferrari fans. They don't care if they're first on the grid, last on the grid, not in the race because the car broke down. They are going to be Tifosi no matter what. And that's the same thing with Mercedes fans. They're Mercedes whether Valtteri Bottas or Lewis Hamilton wins or they lose. And the same thing with Max Verstappen. So just like card collecting, that's how we pick teams. We pick who we love, pick the drivers that we relate to. And